Welcome to a busted play. An illegal use of hands to the face short.
Thursday night football is almost upon us once again. This is where we see the best matchups of the year. You wouldn't disagree with that, would you?
Never, never. I
Thur-
think that's the most true thing we've said on this show ever.
Thursday night football is where the fun is at. With that being said, this week's matchup, week 2 for the Thursday night football slate, we've got the New York Giants heading to Washington to play the Washington football team. I'm interested to watch both these teams. Didn't get to see much of them on Sunday. Either of them really didn't see much in live action. So I'm interested to see where they both sit. Really, the first thing we've got to talk about is the fact that Washington lost their quarterback week 1, but they've got our hype train headed in the right direction because even though they lost Fitzmagic, we were backing both the quarterbacks that were behind this offense. So Taylor Heineke steps in. I'm ready to see him get some long-term action now.
Yes, this team will rally around Taylor Heineke and they will win football games. One of the best quotes of all time. But Taylor Heineke brings some extra juice that Fitzpatrick might not. He's got that extra mobility, and I mean, he's a gunslinger just like Fitz. He's gonna sling the ball in there. Maybe not take as many risks as Fitzpatrick does, but I mean, still they got a QB that's gonna get the ball to the receivers, uh, and make some plays while doing it. The Giants, on the other hand, that's all that they really need. If the Giants had a Taylor Heineke, they'd be in a lot better spot than where they are now with Daniel Jones.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of how it feels, which is sad with how many more games Daniel Jones has played than Taylor Heineke. I don't know if we should say that so confidently, just because we haven't seen such a large Taylor Heineke sample size.
I will.
But but with that being said, I am very excited to watch Taylor Heineke just because we were so excited to see more of him after we saw what he did in the wild card playoff game last year. Looking at the rest of the parts of the teams, both these teams, when looking back at the game, kind of had some late game fumbles that changed the scoring a little bit for them. I thought the Washington football team fumbling at a point they did in the fourth quarter basically lost them the game. They would have had a chance to win it if they hadn't fumbled there and given the Chargers great field position to go in for a touchdown. And New York, on the other hand, they were probably going to lose to Denver either way, but the score really got stretched by a fumble they had later in the game. So fumbles kind of changed the game for both teams this week. But generally, I think that we're both probably on the same page of the team we'll be going with in terms of picking a team for this game.
Yeah. And with those mistakes, turnovers, and everything, both these teams are young teams too, so they're gonna have those early season mistakes. The Giants probably more so than the football team, just because of who their quarterback is. And I mean, Taylor Heineke he has less experience as a starter than Daniel Jones does. So maybe even saying that's wrong, but I know that he's like 4 or 5 years older than Daniel Jones, and he's XFL seasoned as well. So, but yeah, you are right. I think we're both going to lean the same way with the teams we pick here. It just doesn't really seem like that hard of a choice. And
Yeah.
I mean, usually Thursday night games aren't.
Well, I know it's a big NFC East rivalry, so that's the big part. Both teams
Yep,
coming in at 0-1,
first
so I
of
mean,
the first of the seven that we're going to see in prime time this season. Can't wait.
both teams coming in at 0-1 obviously don't want to get to that like dreaded 0-2 spot, which could lead you down an even worse path. With that being said, if you actually want to take a look at the rosters, I mean, I don't know how much comparing you want to do, but I talked about how I like how the Giants defense is coached. I also like how the Washington defense is coached, but the thing that really gets me here in this matchup in terms of why I'm going to pick Washington, since I haven't just came out and said it yet, is the fact that the defense for Washington I think is so much better. I think the Giants beat them in terms of secondary. I think that's the only position group on defense they really beat them at. The defensive line for Washington is obviously so dominant that really I don't know if the other units maybe even matter just because they wreak so much havoc up front. And then linebackers kind of middle of the road for each team. And then the Giants are a little bit ahead in terms of the secondary, like I said. But that advantage they have on the defensive line, and then looking across the ball to the offensive side, I feel like these offenses are actually in pretty similar situations in terms of
Hmm.
having plenty of weapons at the receiver position now after this season. Knowing who their starting running back is now, even though Saquon's probably better than Antonio Gibson, I don't know how much that can change the game. And then kind of really still some question marks at quarterback because Taylor Heineke does not have a long sample size, and Daniel Jones has not shown enough to be like clearly the number one guy anywhere. So with that being said, I mean these teams feel pretty similar, and I think that defensive line advantage in terms of an overall defensive advantage is probably what gives Washington the nod in this one.
Hmm. It's very weird how these teams feel so similar, yet, I mean, before the season started, and I think even once the season ends and we come back and look at this, they're going to be in completely different places. Washington, I already fighting for a playoff spot. I think at the start of the season, people viewed them that way. I think that's going to be the case towards the end of the season. The Giants, they're going to be a bottom of the league team. Everyone thinks that now, and that's probably going to be the case at the end of the season. And I do agree. Secondary's better for the Giants, and then the front seven for Washington. I mean, you got so much young talent up there. You got a guy that already looks like he could be a Hall of Famer at pass rusher in Montez Sweat.
Yeah.
You're supposed to laugh at that. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, I just wasn't thinking too hard, and then I realized why it was funny. Yeah.
No, Chase Young, obviously, linebacker core, not that great for both, but the football team did go out there and get Jamin Davis. So, still some expectations for him uh, to grow. And, you know what you're going to get with Blake Martinez.
Yeah.
And then the offense. Yes. Yeah, what were you going to say?
No, you can keep going if you want to get into
Uh,
the offense.
and the offenses for both of them. I think the lines are solid. Washington's offensive line, probably I'd give them a tad better than the Giants. Receiving cores, both of them are equal, I'd say. Running backs, give the nod to Saquon there, but with his injury, I mean, maybe he's more on the same playing field of Antonio Gibson, especially after that game last week. But I'm not going to hold him to just one game to as like, yep, this is who he's going to be after that injury. And then quarterbacks, like we've talked about, it, they're both lacking talent there for both of them. It's just, I think, I mean, Daniel Jones is the fastest QB in the league. But Taylor Heineke knows how to use his speed more than Daniel Jones does, if I had to put it that way.
Daniel Jones is statistically the fastest quarterback in the league, but we haven't seen Heineke hit the wide open green grass yet. I have a feeling if they call some read options, there may be some defensive moments for New York that make them look as bad on defense as some teams did last year when they just let Daniel Jones run wild, because there's no way they're going to give this klutz like the opportunity to run with the football, and then when he sneaks out the back door because no one's paying attention to him, he's able to go off for huge yardage. And I always like that, getting a guy that's not like crazy in terms of like thinking about his athletic ability and being able to like sneak a quarterback run in with him is always a good option, I believe. I'm really interested in the Heineke hype wagon though, since we've talked about it so much this offseason. I just feel like I feel like I'm finally gonna be excited to get in there and see what he can do. I hope he doesn't disappoint. If he disappoints, that's gonna be really sad. And I hope that this doesn't end up being a game it should have picked an upset for with the Giants. Not to say I'm rooting against the Giants, just the fact that the Taylor Heineke hype train has been alive and well all offseason. So the fact that he's starting already in week 2, regardless of the situation, is kind of wild to me, and I'm just ready to see how it goes. Plus, he's got all those weapons, like one of my favorite receivers in the draft, De'Ami Brown, who's already getting significant snaps on the offensive side of the ball, which I wasn't even sure he would. Even though I was hyping him up all offseason, I'm excited to see what he can do, and hopefully he can hit the deep pass when De'Ami beats somebody deep on the Giants that Fitzpatrick underthrew.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm just rooting for some clean football here. No sloppy turnovers from either team because I feel like that's how this game just becomes terrible. if both teams are just sloppily turning the ball over and it's like whoever can hang on to the ball for a whole drive is going to be the team that wins. And that's how I feel like worst case scenario this game could end up. Best case scenario, I mean, it could just turn it into a great defensive game of just defense making plays. And that's the difference I think between the turnovers. I'm saying I don't want sloppy turnovers. I want like defensive players to make plays to get things going here. I don't really need Antonio Gibson like fumbling because the turf monster grabs his ankle and he just throws it out there. I'm not saying that he's ever done that, but I really like Daniel Jones is going to do that more than Antonio Gibson will. But
Yeah,
just some good clean football here because I'm not expecting much out of this game like either way.
I think it'll be fairly close. I don't think it'll be a blowout. I'd be really surprised if they blew the doors off the Giants, honestly. Because I'm picking them, I'm saying that. I'd be even more surprised if the Giants blew off the doors of them. Giants have a lot of talent, but it's still Daniel Jones led, so that's the key in why I say that. I don't trust him, but no, yeah. Score prediction?
Give me 27-21 football team.
Really? That's a lot for this game. I was gonna go 20-14 football team.
Okay.
What do you think? You think that's too low?
You really think Hopkins is gonna miss a kick?
No. 2 touchdowns, 2 field goals.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, that'll be the difference. Washington defense can hold back enough so that the Giants only score 2 touchdowns while Washington will be able to move down the field a little bit more, get 2 touchdowns and 2 field goals on the board.
So what you're saying here is Dustin Hopkins is a better kicker than Graham Gano. That's the narrative you're trying to push then. That's what you just said.
If Graham Gano can hit from his own 40, then it's going to be 2020 headed to OT. But I don't think he can do that. I don't believe that much in him. I'm sorry.
I mean, right now, NFL is kind of 3 for 3 with its primetime games, I'd say.
Yeah.
Can they make it 4 for 4? I don't know. With this matchup, it doesn't seem likely.
Wait.
It's possible, though.
Wait, I was just agreeing with you because I was thinking about the primetime games I actually watched closely. Tampa Bay and Dallas, yes. Las Vegas and Baltimore, yes. Really? Chicago and LA was a yes?
Okay.
Just the fact that...
Never mind. I was just thinking about games that I watched closely, too. I tuned out of that one as well. All right, so the NFL's 2 for 3.
They put that one on Sunday, though, so there was other stuff to watch.
Yeah.
Let's make sure the days that there are no other games, that these are very good games. So the Monday and Thursday games are the most important days, just like we led into this with. Thursday Night Football is the most important night of football every week.
Every week. It's the first game of the week. It's where the week actually starts, is Thursday.
Yes, sir. You all set?
Yeah, I think we could cut this here.